Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to the Medium's Table. I'm your host, Michelle Gardner. This podcast is your personal invitation to join me at the intersection of the everyday and the extraordinary. Together, we'll explore the magic of mediumship, share spiritual stories, and connect with fellow mediums on this incredible journey. So grab a seat, pour yourself a cuppa, and come join us at the Medium's Table, where spirits gather and stories unfold. Disclaimer, just a heads up to all our lovely followers. Our social media is a space where we share personal stories, including those of various mediums. Let's keep the vibe positive and respect each other's beliefs. Every journey is unique, and here we celebrate the diversity of experiences. I'd like to welcome back to the show medium Alicia, aka Synchronicity Sweetheart. I love that. It's so light and airy and yet so deep. Synchronicity Sweetheart. Why don't you tell the viewers and listeners, Alicia, a little bit about what it is that you do?
I do a lot, Michelle, and good morning. I'm so happy to be here. Your evening, my morning, but hey, I'm going to drink my cuppa and you can drink whatever it is to put you to night-night town. But not yet, not until we get through. What do? I do a lot of things, very eclectic, but my specialty, one of them is not only mediumship, but trance mediumship, but it is also synchronicity. And there is, I believe, synchronicity in a lot of people's stories, including my own. And just as we go to tell this story, you will see that there's a synchronicity inside of it. So it always makes me happy to talk about synchronicity.
Yeah. And synchronicity is quite a deep subject, isn't it? And quite a reflective subject of looking back and joining the dots, et cetera, et cetera. And this is a subject that is obviously you're very passionate about, very dear to you, and you've done a lot of, not only with your own experience, but, research and again, experience is everything though. That's where the knowledge and wisdom really comes in. When you've done it and you've seen it, heard it, felt it, it's real. It is deep and it is real. So, but that's a subject that we will get right into in another episode for another day. So we've touched base on what we're going to talk about today, and I've just been so super excited all day to do this podcast. I'm like, I can't wait to hear the unfolding of this entire story.
Well, it was quite the story. Yes, it is. It was and is.
Yeah. And this is obviously something that's happened a long time ago or recently?
It happened a long time ago. I'm going to say 2004 or 5, maybe 2005.
Yeah, right.
It's been 20 years ago, Michelle. 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Where did time go?
Oh, no, don't say that. That's like decades ago. That's,
Right.
age starts, you start thinking, hang on, that's 20 years. That means I'm 20 years older. You're 20 years older.
I was a young thing back in the day.
Exactly. So how did this all unfold? Like I have so many questions, but I know as you tell the story, my questions will be answered. So I'm not going to jump ahead as much as I want to. I'm just going to let it unfold as it will. And if I've got questions at the end, trust me, I will be asking.
Right? And you can, please do, because there are things that I get confused on in the details when trying to think of it on the spot, right? I'm on the spot right now. So
yeah,
let's do it. Let's go ahead and start. How's that? What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please. I've been waiting.
So years ago, as I established, probably 2004 or 5, I'm going to say closer to 2005. I was living in Vermont at the time, and I was doing mediumship full time. That was my job. I had a studio in the front of my house, and people would come and get readings. And you have to understand, this is 20 some odd years ago. And metaphysics and mediumship isn't what it was like as you know it today. This is like back in the dark ages, almost stone age. And not many people did it. And if they did, they were very quiet about it. And I was very involved in the community, working on my mediumship, trance mediumship. And there was a lady who's now passed that used to do a little PBS show about metaphysics and other topics. And she would do a segment on film, this is back in the day, and it was on a public broadcast here in America. So I can't remember the name of the show anyhow. We had done a couple different shows, and we were friends. And I was at home one evening, and I get this phone call. And it was from her, and she said, Alicia, I want to know if you can help me. There's this home that they're having all kinds of different things happening, energies, and they're afraid. And so I went down, I took my camera, went down with my husband, and I thought, let's see what's going on. And she said, you could definitely feel something. And she said, I got home, Alicia. And she said, there were 2 stones I found in my pocket. And she goes, this is odd. And she said, and they started jumping in my hand and leaping into the sink. And that's when I felt I needed to call you. So I said, okay. And she said, there's something there or energies there that I can't address. And I don't know any mediums who can actually hear and speak to, these energies, and was wondering if you would come and help us and kind of do the speaking. And Michelle, I thought about it, and it wasn't even we're talking a nanosecond. And I hear, no. And I go, yes, I will. Sign me on the dotted line. I go, I'm coming. And as soon as I said that, and I'll never forget it, because that time and space where you just know, it's forever ingrained when it happened. And I was standing in front of my entertainment center, and all of a sudden I saw the whole vision. And I said to this woman on the phone, I said, if you walk in there, you go to the right, you go upstairs, you make a left, and you go through a room, and you end up in a room where you have a window, big, huge window, and it's looking outside. And she goes, yes, that is true. And I go, was there a Ouija board up in the attic to the left of this window? And she goes, no, I don't know. Well, no, I don't know. And I go, there's a portal up there. Something happened up there. And she said, I don't know. And I said, but I'm in. You know me, Michelle. I'm in, sign me up. They say no, I say go.
Yeah. You're not rebellious at all. Not at all.
No, not even a wee bit. Not even a moment. Not even a second. And so I said, okay. So I grabbed my best friend at the time, and still a very dear, close friend, Dana. And I call her the greatest Dana ever, because it just seems like at that point in my life, she was my Bootsy and I was Dora the Explorer. So I was going on, and it became this theme. So I call her up and I said, hey, Bootsy, can you help me out? Dora needs some help. We got to go to this haunted house. And she goes, oh, sure. Of course, Dana at the time is like me. Oh, sure. Sign me up. Alicia's going. We're all going. So we end up that day we got ready to go. There were a few other people that were going to go and set up like a circle with crystals and things to try to get the energy to transform. And I thought, this is a brilliant idea. What can hurt? So Dana and I get to the house. And when you see the pictures, when you show the pictures of the house, you will see the front entrance. And before I ever got to that rock wall, I mean, literally, I was just getting to the stairs and I hear this man just scream in my head, "Get out!" And I'm like, "Oh no, I'm coming in." And gosh, you talk about stupid and fearless. That's young and dumb. You know how they refer to young and dumb? Well, here I am. And I think I'm old and dumb now, but let's go. Let's get on with it. So I end up crossing this threshold. You're not going to tell me what to do. I'm coming in. And the woman who greets us at the door, the owner at the time, she says, no. She said, I'll tell you, I'll explain everything. And I said, absolutely not. Do not tell me a word. And I said, because this is how I saw it. And I don't want to know anything before I go in there. And I was telling her, I let her through. I said, now we're going to go up here. They tell me to the left. They tell me to, and there's the window. What was up in that corner? And she goes, oh my gosh. She said, I said, was it a Ouija board? There's some kind of portal, some kind of energy. And she said, well, that's when they were doing the renovations of the house. The builders were, and they were tearing down the horsehair plaster in the ceiling. And all of these photos and boxes of stuff came falling out. I go, where are they? And she goes, oh, downstairs, and they're, all over, we got to take them to the Historical Society. And I said, you need to get them contained because, as we know, for those of you out there that don't know, energy is free and flowing. It's those documents, those pictures were all carrying energy. And I said, you need to contain the energy. Because to be honest, Michelle, isn't that all we're dealing with is energy here? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that. And I said, well, let's get the documents in a sealed container. Okay. So the ladies upstairs set up their little circle, which was beautiful, beautiful circle. And we're all holding hands, I think, and singing. And all of a sudden, that man comes. And I'm trying to figure it all out at this point, Michelle. Like, why is he there? What's going on? Why won't he leave? Why is he wreaking havoc? Because that's what he's doing. He's not hurting anyone. But he's not being nice either. He doesn't want them there. And so as we're standing in this circle, I keep hearing this lady faintly over his loud booming voice. This was his wife. And I said, don't you want to go now? It's time, you're tired. And she goes, yeah. Yeah, she wanted to go. She was ready to leave, to go into, whether you call it heaven, another dimension, the other side. I don't care. She didn't want to be here any longer. And he wouldn't allow it. So there must have been fear and control in this gentleman. And he just couldn't let her go. And I'm going to say, from how I felt it and how I understood it this time, was there was fear and then there was anger. So you are not going. You're not going. You're staying here with me. So here I am, Michelle, in a twix and a tween, because he's not going anywhere. Clearly, doesn't want the family there. They're ruining his space. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Okay, a neophyte here who's just signed up on the dotted line to help out in a pinch. And I'm like, I don't know. I go, Spirit, give me the answer, because that's where I always go, right, Michelle? And I know you do too. It's like, if I don't have the wherewithal in my little pea brain, I need to go to Spirit and say, how do you want me to handle this? For me, that's the best way. And they showed me, and I'm like, are you kidding me? And what I did was, I said, since you don't want to leave, and this is such a beautiful house and all these things, right? I said, well, you know what? I'm going to put you in this nice little cage, so to speak, down at the bottom of the stairs. And you can watch everybody, and you're just not going to hurt them. You're not going to, that energy isn't going to escape. Your energy is going to be contained, is basically what I'm saying. And you're not going to create havoc. Angry. But I got him to go in. I got it to happen. However, I don't know, Michelle. And I said, this is where I left it. I said, at any time when you decide it's finally time for you to go, or you're ready to go, I said, you just ask. And I think maybe it was Archangel Michael at the time. I said, you ask him just to come and let the lid off, and off you go. I said, until then, you sit at the bottom of the stairs. So at this time, now I've got him contained. So, and oh gosh, Michelle, prior to the containment, I'm sorry, we've got to go back. See, this is where, as I'm telling this story, the wife, I'm dealing with the wife, trying to get her to go. And the more I'm trying to get her to go, the more he's fighting and angry. And you can hear, as Dana recalled, she goes, I will never forget this, like this large boom where the whole house shook, and it sounded like a whole countertop in the kitchen just fell down. And it did. It physically shook the home.
Wow.
And all this is going on, Michelle. And so that's when I come up with the, Spirit-led idea of what to do. So now he's in his little cage, and I'm trying to get her to go to the other side or wherever, get the energy to leave the house so she's free. And I think, I'm not positive, so I'm not going to say yay or nay. I'd have to consult Dana, but I'm pretty sure I was able to get her energy to go. And that's when I said to the gentleman, so if you want to be with her at any time, you are then free to go. But through this whole thing, we have these ladies doing this beautiful ceremony as you've got things just bang, bang, boom downstairs. There's nobody down there to be creating all this noise. It's just happening. So at the end, after this is all done and said, I'm like losing my mind. I'm like, what just happened? And oh, good God, for me to say, sign me on the dotted line. I was kind of thinking about this at this point. And, Michelle, there was so much that went on. And this was, in the matter of an hour or so. But it's energy you're using to try to get all this to happen. And these women doing this circle, they were like, oh, this is wonderful. And I'm like, he's blowing up the place because I could hear it. See, that was the difference. I was hearing it, him and the fight we were having, why they're, peace and love and doing their thing, which I'm sure 100% was changing the vibration, but they weren't hearing the other side of it, the whole anger and the fear. And I'm going to say the anger was driven by the fear. And he didn't want to leave his home. He loved that home. He didn't want to leave it, and he didn't want them changing it was the issue here. And the other thing is, Michelle, and I think it's good to look at why these things happen or how they can go awry or how we can change them, because I'm pretty sure listeners want to know, how can you change the situation? What could they have done differently or not have done? What is it? And one of the main things they were doing, the couple was fighting all the time. They were fighting nonstop. It was a constant fight. And you know as well as I know what happens when there's discord, fear, anger, Michelle. It draws that right in, and you're feeding that energy. You're giving that energy more power. And I said, you need to stop the fighting, the anger, because you're only driving him with more energy. You're giving him more energy. You're feeding him. Yeah. And he's thankful and giving him power. And it's not even take the person out of it and just call it energy. You're feeding an energy. It's just getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And I think for the listeners out there to know if they're having things going on, number one, if you start fearing, that's going to feed it too. You get angry, that will feed it. The fighting will feed it. And then you'll see how it just builds off of one another, right? Now everybody in the house is angry and we don't know why we're angry. Well, because you have this big, huge blob of energy that's angry or fearful.
Yeah.
So it all feeds. And they're also they had two daughters at the time, the couple that lived there. And that was something Dana reminded me of. I had forgotten, and then I went, oh, yes, that's right. Because at that point in my life, I was into helping children. It was a big deal of mine. Kids that were being inundated with energies that they didn't understand. And these energies of this man and this woman were coming to the children, especially the man. And he was bothering them when they were trying to sleep at night. And the kids weren't sleeping. They were frightened. And it was interesting because there was a picture of their grandmother above the bed. Now, see, I didn't know any of this. I just said, I see the children. You have two children, right? Yep, two girls. And I said, there's a picture of their grandmother above the bed, their bed. And she goes, yep. And I go, the grandmother is protecting them from these energies.
Wow.
So, yeah. So and again, what is a picture, Michelle? It's an energy. If we go back to Native Americans, when they're taking photographs, don't take my photograph. Why? Why wouldn't you take a photograph? The Native Americans do, because it carries energy.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. So how old were the children? Were they like teenagers or still quite young?
No, they were younger. They were younger. I think they were like maybe 5, 6 at the time, 7, somewhere in there. Yeah, they were young.
That must have been pretty terrifying for them.
It really was. It was because, between the parents and the kids, and they're feeding off all this energy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so they're terrified. The parents are terrified. Parents are angry and arguing now. And it was just, again, that whole cycle of energy.
Yeah. And like they say, where your focus goes, energy flows.
It is true. It is true. It is very, very true, especially in this case.
Wow. Do we want to, you've sent me a few photos to pop up to show everyone. So for those that are watching on YouTube, you'll get to see the photos. For those that are listening, we'll explain the photos to you, but worthwhile jumping onto YouTube to have a look. So let's just pull up the screen share. Okay, so Alicia, did you want to tell us what this photo is about and why this photo is relevant?
Sure. This was an old Civil War home, and they would actually house Civil War soldiers in this home. So there was always, this is a very old, not sure what year home, and you can see by the rock and the ledge how old it is. If you look to the left of those rocks in the front of the home, you will see what looks to be like a blanket of something. If you zoom up, and people have seen like a hand over the blanket, kind of like they're asleep, which was interesting to me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or like if they're pulling the blanket up. Is that like where I'm pointing? Is that where you're
right?
Yeah, yeah,
right in that area. And if you look close enough, it's zoomed in, you definitely can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go into the next picture. All right. So these are the two windows. So this is the house here. I've got this for reference. So these are the two windows off to the left. So what's going on in these in these two windows? I can already see what's going on. Jeez Louise, but go for it.
Go ahead. No, go ahead and tell us, Michelle, because I want somebody who is not me to say what they see.
Well, the first thing I see is this face, worm-looking, creaturey, I don't even know what that is. Two eyes, a mouth that's open, a little nose, the body, the little hands, like little T-Rex hands, and this rounded head. I'm just like, what is that?
What is it? Yeah.
Yeah, that's like some sort of weird thing. And then we've got this going on here. What do you think this is?
Well, what is very interesting, I think the one almost appears to be a skeletal hand in energy form, meaning that's like a bright orange, right?
Yeah.
And it's almost like it's grabbing what would appear to be like a handle.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. If you can see the handle below, there's the hand. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. That's just bizarre. Now, here, we had something going on here, didn't we? I'm actually seeing a different face here. I'm seeing two eyes here, a nose, and a sort of an angry mouth. Can you see that?
Yeah.
With an oval-shaped head, shoulders.
Yep.
Like what?
Yep.
Jeez. That's, okay. You get, and just the feel and look of it, it's got that angry, dark energy to it.
It does. It really does. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Because I know when you sent me these photos, I did see another face here, a lady's, but I can't even see that anymore.
Isn't that interesting? Because I really do believe that photos and energy can shift and change. I have pictures that I have captured over the years of apparitions, energies, and they'll change. Or if you, someone had sent me an audio of you could actually hear the entity saying, something about committing suicide, kill yourself. But yet every time you'd listen to the recording, it would kind of change, which was interesting to me. Yeah.
Yes, look what I see here. As you're talking, I see it looks like someone spying out of the corner. See their eye?
Yep.
Spying out of the corner. That's their hair. Just a little part of their face there looking out of the corner of the window. Oh, my gosh. And I'm sure if you're watching this, you'll probably pick up other things in here. I'm so sure. Please comment and let us know what you're seeing, because this is wow.
Yeah. And what I find fascinating about pictures like this, absolutely, please comment and let us know, because a lot of times what you're seeing, Michelle, what I'm seeing, others can see more or different. And it's always interesting to know that.
Yeah. And see here, this looks like a man's face in this. There's his nose.
Oh, yes.
Eyes.
100%. Yeah.
There, his hair. And again, they're all like sad faces.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. That's incredible. Let's move into the next picture. So this is the door. So I've enlarged the door here. And I looked at this today when I was putting this together, and straight away I see these two faces. That was like, what is that?
100% clear, isn't it? There is no mistaking that there are two faces there. No mistaking. And
that's just freaky.
Yeah. It's very interesting, isn't it? Yeah. And I saw also, if you go to the left of the door there, yes, to the window to the left.
To here? Yep.
And right there, I almost felt there was a female face there, and it looked to be like a female. Not sure. Again, it's one of those things. I just have a feeling, and I can kind of see the outline.
Is this what I'm seeing here? Is this like from her waist up?
Yep.
Yeah. Yes, I do. Yeah. And this light color here would be her hair.
Yep.
Yeah.
She has Barbie hair. Michelle, she has Barbie hair.
I know someone else with Barbie hair.
And if you go there to the right, you will see clearly that bony hand grabbing for that handle, which is very interesting, because you saw that energy coming in almost from the left of the windows. And now it totally, like, it's almost like, there it is, the manifestation. It was like it was coming in and then it manifested. And I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah.
That's incredible. And I think in the next picture, okay, so, oh my gosh, this just looks like an eye, a great big eye looking out of someone's face there.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. And if you look, you can see the eyes, the nose, the mouth.
Yeah.
Right there. Yeah.
And you know what this looks like? A woman floating. So this would be like a nightgown. See, like this would be her bust, her nightgown flowing down here, but you can't quite see her face up here, like the full apparition of a woman. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
There's so much in that.
Isn't it?
Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So tell us about so this is the same house. Tell us about these two photos.
Okay. I love that I got the two photos, and literally, Michelle, this was way back in the day. This wasn't even a digital SLR. This was just like a regular digital camera, no big deal.
Yeah.
And I sat and I took a picture and then snapped again and took another picture. So you can see in the picture with all the raindrops, you don't see anything. I mean, you can go ahead and pull it up, but there's nothing there. And the picture that was taken not even a nanosecond later has all of the energy in it, which is interesting to me, which was very interesting.
Yeah, it's all going on in one photo, like you said, and then a nanosecond later, nothing.
Nothing. Uh-huh. Yeah. And I was so glad I had taken 2 pictures to show myself, because I am my biggest skeptic. I'm like, this is BS. I can't. What, are you kidding me? This is a bunch of BS, you know? And no, it's not. It's not.
Yeah. So tell us about these 2 interesting people here.
And you know, I still don't know who these people are. I don't know whether they're the energies from the house. They may be. I don't know. But I do know, remember when I spoke of the construction workers knocking through the horsehair plaster? This is what dumped out of it.
Wow.
All of this, yeah. That needed to be contained.
Yeah. So this is what the owners had within their house that was just scattered like this.
Oh, yeah. It was all over, because once the construction workers hit and knocked out that ceiling and all this fell down, well, they just had it laying all over because they were donating it to the Historical Society, but it wasn't in a container, contained. It's just laying out. And so you have pictures. Everything carries energy, right? Let's tell the listeners, Michelle. Let's give them a little kind of, if they don't know. Right?
Yeah. And it's like, so if you've ever heard of psychometry, where you hold an object, it could be a piece of jewelry, a ring, a watch, something that was a personal item to someone, and it holds the energy of that person. Or like they talk about haunted objects, like from, the olden days where some objects are haunted, they still carry the essence of the original owner. So, there's definitely energy is definitely 100% goes into objects, photos. Oh, my gosh, photos. I can't even begin to describe photos, especially. That's how we do photo readings.
Right. Yeah. And it's just the same if people would walk into an antique shop and they just go over something and go, oh, this gives me a creepy vibe. Yeah. Well, trust your intuition. It is a creepy vibe. Let's don't buy it, let's don't buy it. But, and especially I think there's a lot of crazy stuff and fallacy where, has become Hollywood, so to speak, Michelle. Yeah. So therefore we're upon that witching season, aren't we? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And this is very timely for this time of year. Obviously it's bigger in America than it is in Australia. So
well, that's because not all your basements are haunted.
Which takes me back to, and I have to ask you, when you said, because as soon as you started saying, I'm thinking, I wonder if this is the basement to the stairs. The stairs to the basement. Sorry, I just said that completely backwards. Where you said you contained the male energy in like a cage. You said at the bottom of the stairs. Was that the bottom of the stairs to the basement?
Oh, no, actually to the kitchen. So he could still get a view of everybody and all the passersby. See, because that was, I guess, this was all spirit led. That way, it was the hub. The kitchen's the hub of everything, always. People are always walking through the kitchen to go out of the house, grabbing a snack. So that way, he could see everything, right? And
Yeah.
not a problem. Yeah, very interesting. No, it was at the bottom of the stairs in the kitchen. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Because
he
I
could
was
get a
straight
view.
away, I was straight away going with it's got to be the basement. I don't know any basement on any movie that's not haunted. I say concrete them in, no problem, no more ghosts, hauntings are over, everybody's free to go.
It's done. It's done. It's done.
Problem solved.
Problem solved. Yeah, and it works. Yeah. But there is something I wanted to mention. So actually two things before I forget. Here we are finishing up. Dana goes to her respective home. I go to my home. I'm falling asleep. I just started to kind of get to that where I'm almost asleep. And all of a sudden it started. And by it started was these visions that I could not get to go away. So he's talking about a tree-lined street. And now I'm looking and my legs have now turned into like those stockings, like like black and white horizontal striped stockings, and like something out of the Wizard of Oz or something, or a Tim Burton movie. And wow. I'm like, oh, and it was horrible. And I couldn't get it to go away. Right away, of course, who do I call? The greatest one, the greatest Dana. And I said, she is a very unbelievable Reiki practitioner. And I called her right away and I said, Dana, can you please start sending energy healing Reiki to me? Because this man is invading my thought at this point. I wasn't afraid, but I also wanted it to go away. And I knew for some reason, I always lived by my intuition, right, Michelle? This is who I am. And I knew by calling Dana and having her send that Reiki at the same time I'm banishing him would just reinforce it. And sure enough, you sent the Reiki. I was out like a light and never to look back. However, I will never forget the visions I saw. And I was like, this is crazy. This is like out of some crazy, I don't know, horror film. Stupid.
Yeah. So do you think that what do you think caused that? Do you think it's the male spirit sort of getting the last word in, or still trying to overthrow his dominance towards you, sort of saying, hey, look, I can invade your space anytime you want? Or like, what do you think that was about?
100%. That's exactly what it was about. And one of the things Dana reminded me, he said to me that I'd forgotten, as he was screaming through their beautiful, peaceful little gate, one of the things he screamed at me, you're nothing more than a mere mortal. You can't do anything. So that is, to me, that control, the dominance over, you can't do anything. And of course, Michelle, you know my personality. You just told me I couldn't. Well, I can and will. Again, I don't know if that's always smart, just saying, but in this case, it proved to be very helpful that I got Dana involved. And yes, it was about him getting in his last word, still showing me he had control, and he didn't.
Yeah. It's almost like an intimidation act, just to sort
100%.
of see. Yeah. And I mean, look, realistically, you probably would never be able to find out if people have tried to go there before and move him on. Do you know what I mean? And he's pulled these stunts, said these things, acted a certain way, and it's worked.
Yeah. They turn tail and run. Yeah.
Exactly.
As they say. Yeah. We're done. Go. And again, like the people living there are just fearful and they're fighting And that's that.
Yeah. And if that's the case, then he's winning, isn't he? By them fighting, by them living in the energy that he wants to build. And yeah, wow.
100%, 100%, Michelle. And looking back in retrospect, it was the most stupid thing I ever said yes to, but the most educating thing I ever said yes to. And to see that your intuition can indeed change an outcome. Do you know what I mean? It's like it became a learning experience to help me down the road a piece, because this wouldn't be the last time I would go into a haunting. It was the first time. And then I learned, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I guess every experience is unique though, isn't it? Every experience, every ghost, every house, every center of energy, cause, reason why is always going to be unique. And again, like 100%. You say, you build that experience and you have your solid foundation of trust and faith in knowing your spirit team, knowing who you are and what your capable skills are to be able to handle all these different situations.
Yeah, and I think there's truth to that, Michelle, because the more educated we are, you always have to start somewhere, right? Right. And so this is by me saying, him saying no, me saying yes. I had to start somewhere to become educated and understand. And you're 100% right. Each energy is different, and the reason why they're there is different. And you just have to, again, I rely on my own gut intuition and spirit and being spirit led as to how I should move forward with things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have you heard from that family again?
This is interesting. This is what would bring us to the synchronicity. Funny you should ask that. So years later, I would be with a friend, and we went to this like picnic in someone's backyard. And I met a girl there, and we became good friends. She was a lot younger than I, and I was traveling, I was here, there, everywhere, but we still stayed in touch. And she was looking for a, boyfriend, partner, husband. And, she was going through relationships and saying, oh, he's not the one. And I would encourage her, you'll find the right one. Well, one day she calls me and she goes, I found him, Alicia. And, oh, we're so much in love. And so by the time I got back from Phoenix, which would have been a year later, they were already married, and she was pregnant, just had found out. So maybe it was almost a year and a half. And he already had 2 daughters from another marriage. And what was crazy is she had no idea I was involved with that home, but that is where her new husband had resided with what would be his ex-wife now in that home. And I was actually able to ask her about that home, because prior to them buying this new home, she had went into that home, and it had, because he was divorced by then. And she said they would sense a little bit of activity, but there wasn't activity there. And I thought, oh, good. So there was a follow-up in a roundabout kind of way, but how synchronistic is that? I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Wow.
Yeah.
That would have just, oh man, that would have blown my mind. Like,
yeah, because it was bizarre. And I'm like, you married? Wow. Oh my gosh. Whatever happened? in that home that I didn't know about,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it kind of filled
Incredible.
in some of the blanks for me.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. And good to
yeah.
hear feedback after the fact, all those years later, that things were relatively, so to speak, pretty much peaceful in the
They
house.
were. And see, that's what we were, not all hauntings are bad, Michelle. Like I've stated before, to tell your listeners, there is no reason to be afraid. Most of the activity going on in your home is not bad. It's not evil. Everybody automatically, I believe, because, and this is my belief, of Hollywood and what Hollywood has done with these types of ghost hauntings, evil spirits. If we look, really delve deep, if you're not afraid, a lot of times they just want to be there because they love that home. They don't want to leave. And they're not doing anything wrong, and they're not hurting anyone. It's how the humans in the physical are responding. And there have been times in homes that I have lived in personally where you don't want to make the entities go away. They actually might be helping me, as opposed to vice versa. My son, in particular, in one home, he said, not all of them are bad, and don't make this man go away, the one that smokes the cigar, Mom, and wears a hat. And I'm like, okay, we'll try not to make that happen. But he loved him. And a child knows energy, right? If anyone knows energy, it's a child. And he was like 8 or 9 at the time.
Wow. And do you think that, like we were talking about psychometry before, do you think that some of the energy that is in a house, residual energy or haunting, or however you want to see it, or, view it as two different things, similar, the same, whatever, is almost like when someone has or has had a great attachment to that house, that is why the energy stays. But also the house is almost like a giant object that you can use, like you say, similar to psychometry, to read the house's energy, read what's happened in the house, and communicate with the energy of the house. Do you believe that that's to some degree sometimes how it goes?
Absolutely. And I don't think every house, and this for your listeners is important. There's a difference between a ghost and a haunting, a lot. And the difference is a haunting would be Gettysburg. It's running the same energy loop. You see the same soldiers marching, yet the energy loop continues. You have, let's say, you see this big, beautiful home, and you see the widow walking the widow's peak, right? Every night at 8 o'clock at night. Oh, this isn't a ghost sighting. This is a haunting where the energy loop is continuing because of the energy of a highly emotional experience, which has happened there. And it keeps that loop going. She's grieving her husband. They are going to war. There was a lot of energy with Gettysburg, as opposed to an actual energy wanting you to go away or wanting to go. But yes, houses can hold energy. I mean, if anything can hold energy, Michelle.
Yeah. That's interesting. And it's you're right with it's on, and spirit knows no time, do they?
No.
Time does not exist in the spirit world. That's interesting. So, and it also gives you some perspective on wherever you are right now in the world, and you're going through anything emotional, just remember that that energy may stay after you leave.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. But you don't think of that. Go back to the pagans. Go back
Yeah.
to the Wiccans, what they would do. You, Michelle, know as well as I do. Let's ask your listeners, have you ever walked somewhere in a woods or wherever and you're like, oh no, I can't walk there. And you keep walking around that. You can't figure out why, but you keep walking around it. And that's from back in the day, pagan rituals, setting a protector for that space because it might have been a sacred space at one time. So they create a big, huge energy so that you don't want to go near it. You want to walk around it, so it's always protected. And the pagans knew what they were doing back in the day, right? They were protecting that energy, that sacred site. And now, even today, if we walk there, we want to walk around it. We don't know why, but that's why.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I love that. And so much knowledge and wisdom in the words you've just said. And I'm sure those that are listening and watching just got questions answered, educated all at the same time. To the difference of a haunting and a ghost, which is a really interesting question and something that, you know, I'm really actually glad that you've touched base on that subject, because I don't know that it's actually something that we've ever spoken about on any episode of this podcast. So that's really interesting and good to determine that there and differentiate there is a difference between the two.
And there's absolutely. And there is also a difference between and this is also maybe helpful for a listener out there, because it would have been helpful for many people I know had they have known this. So a girl or a boy, usually girls, because at age 13, we're all crazy with hormones, right? It's like, oh, you know, our menstrual cycle's getting ready to start. We're miserable. Life is horrible. And you have all this intense energy within you, what you're going through. 9 chances out of 10, a prepubescent, if you are called into a home and let's say they're having all of this stuff is being left here from energy, right? It's just happening. Stuff's moving, doors are opening. 9 chances out of 10, the first question I ask, is there a prepubescent or a pubescent person in the home, especially a female? If they say yes, her energy is creating a PK or a psychokinesis. She's making it happen on her own.
Wow.
People don't talk about it. It's true. It does happen. And so which one is it? Is she creating the energy from herself, or is it actually a haunting or a ghost? I would say I would lean and I would start by it's probably hormones driving a PK or a psychokinesis.
Yeah. You've probably just helped a lot of parents out there with teenage daughters go, I knew it. I knew it was her.
And yeah, exactly, right? It was her all along. And just wasn't even a year, 2 years ago, I was in Phoenix and my friend said, oh, it would be her niece came into the home. And next thing she was, and my friend was deathly afraid of energy and ghosts and whatever. And she's like, I was like, don't you ever come in here again. Because pictures started moving, crazy stuff started happening. And I go, how old is Maddie? And she goes, 13. And I go, it is her, but it's not ghost and it's not anything to be worried about? And she said, well, because as soon as she leaves, it goes away. Of course it does.
Yeah.
And her mother had noticed it happening in their home too. So they grow out of it.
Wow. So parents keep a calm atmosphere, peaceful environment, put the scissors away, knives away.
Exactly.
Anything sharp and dangerous, put them away. You don't want them moving on their own.
No, and live in just this total which
exactly.
is impossible.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, thank you so much, Alicia, for this amazing discussion and story. It's been incredible. And, I've even learned a lot. I always learn a lot from talking to you. You've had so much experience in your life. It's almost like, how many lives can one person possibly live? And for you, as I have said in previous episodes, you're like a cat with 9 lives. And if you haven't seen Alicia's previous episodes, please do, because they are incredible. And you will be blown away by the situations she's put herself in, found herself in, ended up in. It's like, how do these things happen to one person? Seriously, this doesn't happen to one person, but they do. They do. We found that one person. So thank you so much, Alicia, for sharing with us and enlightening us with this. It's an amazing story and so much that happened in, like you said, it was an hour that you were in that house, wasn't it? Or roughly an hour.
Yeah, roughly an hour.
Yeah, incredible. And go back if you can, watch YouTube and have a look at the photos, because I am so curious to see what other people can see in those photos. It's almost like the more you look, the more you find.
It's true. Yeah, very much so. And my last word of advice to all your listeners is be careful what you say yes to.
But that's how she's got so many good stories. That's how, because she says yes. I don't know that it's good advice, but she says yes. Now, Alicia, where can people find you?
Oh, they can find me at International Medium Alicia, which is on Facebook. Synchronicities Sweetheart would be Insta and TikTok, and there you go.
Yeah. Now, you do readings not just in person, but you also do readings on Zoom, like you can do readings across the world, correct?
I do. Yes, that is correct. And I still do many, many readings. I don't tend to advertise, but I've always left it. If somebody hears about me, they were meant to get a reading by me.
Yeah, they find you.
Word of mouth.
Yeah.
They will find me.
The best way. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Alicia. And I look forward to hearing more of your amazing, scary, what the stories.
You never know.
Exactly. On another episode. Thank you again. To view the show notes, head over to themediumstable.com.au. If you want to watch these episodes, head over to our YouTube channel, The Medium's Table Podcast.